So welcome everyone officially to our 15-minute Desk Wellness Series class, Ultimate Sleep Routine. My name is Lance Breger. I'm the CEO and Executive Wellness Coach at Infinity Wellness Partners, and so grateful to have a chance to work with each and every single one of you from around the world today on such an important topic. Sleep. Who doesn't love sleep? I love some sleep, and I learned personally that my sleep routine was off when I was sent to the ICU at George Washington University Hospital in Washington, D.C. back in 2006. I had a peritonsillar infection where my left tonsil blew up to the size of a tennis ball. And it made it very difficult and painful to breathe, swallow, and speak. That was the very scary and painful wake-up call that something I was doing was way out of whack. And what I learned at that moment of my life and my career was that my sleep was so important to my immune system, my immunity. Does anyone want to have the strongest immune system? I think now more than ever, we're really tuned into that being a priority. Well, your sleep is one of the best and most important ways that you can boost your immune system. Go ahead and type into the control panel, what can sleep help you do more? More energy? Is that what you want? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to wake up feeling positive and energized? Do you want to be able to be focused and to be able to concentrate? Do you want to experience less pain in your body? All of those things are literally supported by your sleep. And guess what, everybody? It's free. And the average professional only is sleeping 6.5 hours per night. We're going to start creating your ultimate sleep routine right now. First is, I want you to think about what it's like to put a child to bed. Type into the control panel if you've ever put a child to bed, either babysitting, you're a brother or sister, you're a mom, you're a grandfather, you're a dad, you're a mom. I mean, I've probably said hopefully all of them by now. But think about, answer this question. Would you give a child and recommend a child your current sleep routine? What's the answer? Or would you want anybody that you care about in your company or your family to follow your current sleep routine? If the answer is yes or no, it's great. And then you get to learn that if your answer is no, I wouldn't want a child to use this bed routine, it's going to be important to change that. Because remember, you are childlike in a lot of your physiology with regards to sleep. So let's go through this and think about what would be the optimal sleep routine for you. You already know the answer to this. I'm going to share some different tips. But imagine if you're putting a child to bed, how would you change your current sleep routine if you were putting a child to bed with that routine? How would you change that? Let's now get into the guidelines for sleep and why sleep is so important. That starts with your quantity first. As I mentioned, the average professional is sleeping 6.5 hours per night, but the guidelines and the gold standard is 7+ hours of sleep per night. If we can get 7+ hours of sleep per night, we are moving in a great direction and moving away from the negative consequences physically, mentally, and emotionally that happen when we don't get enough sleep. Now, it's not just about the quantity of sleep, but it's also the bedtime. Optimal sleep time is from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. because your body is synced up to the sun and the moon in the 24/7 circadian cycle, light and dark. Sleep is so connected to your hormones. If we can get your sleep hormones of melatonin to rise up, we can help you fall asleep. Also, your growth and repair hormones are supposed to go up when you're sleeping. And when you're sleeping, it's like plugging in your cell phone at the end of the day. It's a full recharge. Now, why 10 p.m.? Did you know that 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., your body goes through all its physical repair. This is according to the book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy by Paul Chek. From 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., then your body goes through your psychological, neurological, and mental repair. So this is critically important. 10 to 2, physical repair. If you're going to bed at midnight, you're losing 50% of your repair, which is causing you to have dark circles or puffiness, to wake up feeling exhausted, to have aches and pains that are out of nowhere, or maybe workouts that aren't recovering. Physically, you're feeling down, you have extra inflammation somewhere in your body that's creating pain. So we want to start getting closer to head-on pillow sleeping between 10 and 10:30. From 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., your brain goes through the repair. Your brain actually takes a shower when you're sleeping, which is critically important to washing away the waste products that build up and the metabolic waste that builds up in the brain from thinking and doing all the things that you do in a given day. If you're not getting that adequate shower for your brain, it leads to a funky brain, which can lead to mental conditions like depression, bipolar, Alzheimer's. So your sleep and sleep times are also important. Now you may be saying, Lance, I go to bed at 2 a.m. Yeah, right. And I'm sleeping 5 hours. No problem. I've experienced it all myself, and I've experienced and supported clients make that change. Quickly, I need to just grab my time recorder. So how are we going to do it, everybody? Well, first we're going to move our bedtime earlier, just 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes earlier, and stick with that consistent bedtime, 15 minutes earlier than wherever you are, for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, and your body adapts to it, move the bedtime earlier again for 15 minutes. That's an amazing way to get 15 minutes more of sleep, getting closer to the 7+ hours, and it gets you closer and closer to falling asleep between 10 and 10:30. All right, now that you have the guidelines, the bedtimes, and the recommendation for actually making that realistically possible, let's dive into your actual sleep routine based on some times. I want to first start with everything you do throughout the day actually is impacting your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. For example, if you exercise in the morning or throughout the day, you're going to be much more likely to fall asleep at the end of the day because your body's going to be physically tired rather than just mentally tired. That's an example of how what you do throughout your day actually impacts your ability to fall asleep. What I want to share with you today is caffeine. Caffeine has a 6-hour half-life in your body. That means if you have, let's say, a noon cup of coffee, which the average has 300 milligrams, 6 hours later, you're going to have half that caffeine still in your circulation. 6 hours after that, which is midnight, you have an espresso shot worth of coffee still in your circulation. And at 6 a.m., you wake up with 32.5 milligrams. What that leads to is the caffeine is a central nervous system stimulator, causing you to have insomnia. You can't fall asleep because you're wound up, alert. And also, you wake up feeling unrested and need another cup of coffee to keep going. That's because you don't get to the deepest levels of sleep or rapid eye movement when you have caffeine in your system. So why I'm saying 12 o'clock is when your ultimate sleep routine begins, because if you're going to have caffeine, you want it to be way before 12 noon and definitely not afterwards. And you want to make sure that you're moving to the least amount of caffeine possible, maybe in the tea family, maybe with an espresso, maybe moving to decaf, something else. So that's the first tip in creating a sleep routine. It starts way before bed. Next is dinner. Your dinner has such a big impact on your sleep. Like putting a child to bed. We wouldn't want to give them tons of sugar, right? So we wouldn't want to give them a huge meal worth of carbohydrates. So an optimal dinner is about 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. That's why I'm recommending 7 o'clock. So if you can get to sleep around 10:30, 2 to 3 hours before that for optimal digestion is going to be around 7 o'clock. We want a dinner that has protein, healthy fats, and above ground vegetables. Yes, protein, fat, and above ground vegetables. The protein and the fat helps to stabilize your blood sugar. If you have so many carbohydrates on your plate and you're having wine, you're having dessert, you're having after dinner snacks, lots of starches, lots of grains, lots of carbohydrates on your plate, that's going to cause your blood sugar to spike, giving you high energy, not going to be able to fall asleep. And then when you do fall asleep, your sugar is going to crash in the middle of the night and you're going to wake up starving. Does that happen to you? Yes, I know. Me too. That means your blood sugar has crashed in the middle of the night. And then what do? We go to I just had a client tell me that she woke up in the middle of the night and she was eating candy. Interesting. That is not connected to her goals. Her blood sugar crashed, so that means the dinner that she's having is not the most appropriate and optimal for her. So what we want to do is always have the source of plant or animal-based, high-quality animal-based, like organic, grass-fed, wild-caught, protein, healthy fat, like this may be using some organic cold-pressed olive oil, raw, after cooking the vegetables. Or it could be some avocado, a little coconut oil, nuts and seeds are all different ways to get good fat. And then above ground vegetables, because they have less carbohydrates, calories, and sugar than below ground. And remember, sumo wrestlers get to be sumo sized by eating big meals and going to sleep. We don't want to eat the biggest meal of the day when our metabolism and our activity level is the lowest and slowest. It just doesn't work. Now we want to go to 9 o'clock, about an hour to an hour and a half, at least 30 minutes before bedtime. We want to start dimming down and unplugging because your brain doesn't know the difference between the sun and a blue light or a screen. So around 9 p.m., so we can get to our 10:30 bedtime, start to dim down the lights. Start to unplug from screens. That's going to help you be able to fall asleep. Did you know that an hour of tablet use and just substitute any screen will reduce your melatonin or your sleep hormone for up to 3 hours? That means it's going to be harder to fall asleep and feel sleepy if your melatonin goes down. So we want to start to dim down the lights, unplug, affectionately escort your phone out of the room and plug it in the bathroom and set the alarm there so when it goes off, you can get up and start your day. So start to dim down the lights and figure out how you can unplug. Lastly, at 10 o'clock, it's time to go to bed. What would you do for that child if you were putting them to bed? You'd rub their back, sing a song, play some relaxing music, read a book. What could you do? You know what one of your greatest stress management strategies is. Think about what you can do to help yourself relax at the end of the day. Reading an inspiring book, having an organic bedtime tea rather than wine, smelling some lavender or eucalyptus essential oil, practicing deep breathing or meditation like alternate nostril breathing, where you breathe in and out of each nostril. One of the biggest stress management tips is the worry journal or gratitude journal. Most clients can't fall asleep or are woken up in the middle of the night by this overactive mind. Move the energy and thoughts out of your mind and onto paper. Before you go to bed, write down what you're worrying about, your to-dos, your don't forgets, the action plan for tomorrow. That will create space in your mind, and when your mind can totally relax, when the information that's so important to you that it keeps reminding you is in a trusted place, like your journal next to you. If you wake up in the middle of the night, that's okay. Go ahead and write down what you're thinking. It's a great way, and then say, it's okay, now it's time to go to bed. Lastly, give yourself permission to not have a good night's sleep. If I'm having a hard time falling asleep, what I tell myself is, it's okay, you might be a little tired tomorrow, but you're gonna get through it. Or you can take a nap tomorrow afternoon if you wake up if you're feeling tired. So give yourself permission. Don't stress yourself out more if you're not having a great night's sleep. Awesome. So now let's take that 7-day challenge, everybody. Information alone is not enough. You're here for change. You're here for transformation. And that can only happen with inspired, consistent action. So based on this sleep routine, guidelines, bedtimes, the idea of making your bedtime routine like one you would give a child, what are you going to do with your caffeine? Think about 12 o'clock or earlier. What are you going to do for your dinner at 7 o'clock? One thing, just one thing, maybe one less portion of rice. 9 p.m., when it's time, an hour and a half before bedtime, what are you going to do to unplug and dim down? Say one thing, and you can type it in the control panel like you've been doing. And then 10 o'clock, you're in bed, getting ready to relax. What are you going to do for your stress management? You can stretch, you can practice gratitude, you can do all of these things. And hopefully now you have a more ultimate sleep routine. Start to master one thing at a time, and this can literally change your life. This totally works, and sleep totally works when you actually do it. It is free. I was very stressed earlier this week, emotionally, mentally. Imagine if you were too, or you are too. But when I get a full night's sleep, I wake up and my mind is clear and it's optimistic. It's amazing how that it can just clear out, like reset my mental emotional state, and my body feels good and I'm caffeine free. So here's our information to stay connected with us. If you have questions, want to share your feedback, or you want to request additional coaching for yourself, your family, or your organization, you can reach out at the contact below. Have the best night's sleep ever, and thank you so much for being here. We'll see you at our next program.